Guys, welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. And it's never too late to get into the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Season 3, Episode 5 of this trip. How are you guys feeling so far about everything that's playing out for this new season? We've waited a long time for the season, and I've seen mixed feelings towards this. And as we're into Episode 5, I'm sort of like, do we have anything here? Is this even entertaining to the point where Gizelle feels the need to pre-produce this moment about where art thou is my bottle? As always, live chat. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, replay crew. Be sure to do the same. As always, guys, let me know where you're watching from. Let's get into a countdown, and then let's get into episode 5 of Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip, Thailand.
Baby, baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor. I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter. I got the fuse. You make a fire. I'll add the fuel. Follow my lead. Just watch the shoes. Gotta turn the heat up to get this cool.
Welcome back, guys. As always, how would you rate the latest episode of Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Thailand between 1 and 10? I probably would rate this episode because it feels so forced, a lot of what's happening during this episode, especially with Gizelle. Oh, I'm gonna get to the bottom of where my Casa Azul bottle is. First of all, to be honest with you, I'm not a person that drinks. However, liquor bottles, some of them are so beautiful. You're like, whoa, I really wish I was into stuff like that. And the Casa Azul bottle is actually kind of cute. It's funny. It's this porcelain bottle with a bell at the top. I'm gonna get one for the studio. I'm gonna get one for the studio. And as you guys can see, I'm still not in my studio. A little mini vacation, a little break in the country to get away from the hassle of New York City. But I'll be back in my studio sometime next week. Sometime next week, and we will get back into all the things. We'll get into Love and Marriage Huntsville. We'll get into, of course, the SWV and Escape show. I know there's been a lot of stuff playing out these last couple of days, but I'm glad for a break that I don't have to necessarily talk about all of what's to come in tomorrow's episode of of that reality show, The Queens of R&B. But of course, I will talk about it at a later date. So if you enjoy content like this, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like this video as well, because it's an easy and free way of supporting not just my channel, but your channel and other channels as well. So let's get into this episode of The Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. Sidebar. Okay, another sidebar. There's rumors on the street, according to Page 6, that we're probably going to get a Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip type show for Roni Legacy. As you know, Roni Legacy fell apart because of contract negotiations, allegedly. They're denying it, but Jill Zarin has come out and said, no, it's true, it's true. I wanted to be paid. I wanted all of us to be paid the same. And all of you said, Jill, that doesn't work out. You haven't been on Housewives in forever. You're not going to get paid the same amount as some of the women that were just on the show. So those negotiations have fallen apart. However, they're now saying that they might do some sort of like return to Scary Island with returning Ramona. And as you know, the reason why Roni, allegedly, I'll say, but it was quite obvious that the last season of Real Housewives of New York was not as so bad in the ratings that they had to cancel the show and reboot the show. They just did not want to answer for all of the problematic behavior of Ramona. And they thought after a while, well, people might forget. People might forget. Let's extend. And people were not forgetting. And now they're talking about rebooting this Roni legacy in an Ultimate Girls Trip type of way for this Roni legacy situation, including Ramona. As you know, Ramona was part of season 1 of Ultimate Girls Trip. How do you guys feel about that? You'll let me know in the live chat. Replay crew, you'll let me know in the comments section. All right. So moving on. Moving on. Pepsi. Oh, justice for poor Pepsi. Oh, woo 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 Pepsi. Let me bring a picture of Pepsi. Oh, Pepsi. Oh, woo 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 Pepsi. Woo woo woo. Oh my goodness, poor guy. At the end of this episode, if you haven't watched the episode, at the end of this episode, poor Pepsi is he's brought to tears. He's not used to the housewives. I know some people are like, oh, why is he being so sensitive? Some of you might say. However, no, Pepsi is not used to this sort of nonsensical drama. And there goes my light. I don't know if you guys are on the East Coast. It's raining outside, or normally I would be outside recording this situation, but look, we will make do. We will make do. Anyways, back to this. So poor Pepsi at the end of this episode, at the top of this episode, we get these little cute little moments of Pepsi just running around the house. He's running from room to room to let the ladies know he's planning today's festivities. He wants them to do this whole Thai boxing situation. Giselle's like, I'm gonna go to the pool. You know, Giselle loves a floaty in a pool. She thinks she is Ramona. Come on, let's come on. You know, some of these housewives are fans and have watched the show. Because I was like, I know she might like a pool, but then I thought to myself, is she leaning into trying to do what Ramona has done on the show? Maybe. Anyway, so she's like, I'm gonna go in the pool. So she goes to the pool. And when Pepsi goes to Portia with this idea of doing box, she's like, oh, working out? All the girls are going to be working out? She's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. No matter how you feel about Portia, I have to say, seeing Portia on the show when she's not talking about the Simon situation, when she's not rewriting history, she is funny. She is funny. What is not funny is Portia being sort of like Giselle's sidekick or teammate. It's sort of it to me. It's different. It's a different Portia that we're getting. We're used to Portia really not necessarily being a leader, but being her own person when on a reality space. And I'm just sort of like you chummy with Giselle was already weird enough because it doesn't make sense. But at the same time, backing up all of what Giselle is saying and doing on the show, it's sort of like interesting. It's interesting. However, I've said this before because here, because y'all, for those of you that are new, or you're all like, oh, you clearly don't like Giselle. You obviously have not listened to any of my videos, or you haven't listened to a full video. Because in the last Ultimate Girl Strip, you clearly hate Giselle. I was like, you obviously did not listen to the video because I literally in the same video have said that Giselle, Candace, and Portia are the only reasons to watch Ultimate Girls Trip Thailand. They're the only reasons. They're the only ones carrying the show. Heather, I can appreciate Heather's little self-deprecating humor. She's clearly a fan. She was happy that Giselle drags her in this episode. She's like, when the popular girl drags you, calls you ugly and calls you fat, you're like, yay. I'm just glad I was tagged in the photo. That is cute in some sense, but the more that we get to know more about Heather, it's sort of like, girl, what redeeming quality of you being a housewife is there at this point? You're constantly lying, you're constantly backtracking, you're constantly with the self-deprecating humor. Like I can appreciate self-deprecating humor, but it's becoming sad. And then calling Thailand this, exploiting Thailand as a third world country, and it's like, first of all, why are you bragging about exploiting anyone? And then referring to Thailand, I'm just like, really? Anyways, we'll get back to some of that. Or not. Or not. So, Heather, Whitney, and who else did the boxing? Someone else did the boxing. I can't remember. It wasn't Alexia and Marisol. I have to say, if I feel like Candace, Portia, and Giselle are carrying this season, which is not necessarily a great thing, I do like the side characters of Alexia and Marisol because for me, it's almost like they're narrating what is happening and what's playing out. They are talking about how Candace she's very loud. She's very loud, and then they show all the moments where Candace was being loud. I can still appreciate Candace in this season, but I'm also being reminded of the Candace that not from this past season, but from earlier seasons where you're like, oh my God, Candace can be so bratty. Candace is always crying. I feel because of everything that played out last season when you have a Giselle that are, lying on people or exaggerating or putting more sauce on a situation, you're kind of like, oh, all right, Candace, I can ride for you. But now that Candace is riding with Leah, and look, this episode, I'm okay with Leah this episode. She's not fun though. This is supposed to be Ultimate Girls Trip. You're representing Roni, and you're not representing us well. I did feel bad for her though, because she was very sick. She was dehydrated. She passed out. It wasn't going well for her this trip, which is sad, and which probably also played a part why she was being so humdrum during this entire vacation. She's got diarrhea. She's got her period, and at the same time, she's not wearing panties? I see. This is where I can appreciate Gizelle and Portia's commentary, because it's sort of like, as a man, I'm not even thinking about those things, but as a women, they think about those things. You're not wearing panties? Okay, all right. So, but Giselle at the top of this episode, and this episode is all about Giselle finding out where her Casa Azul, tequila bottle is. And at first, I was like, okay. And when you saw the trailer, we were sort of like, why is larceny coming up? Is it here goes Giselle accusing? And now that we're seeing this all play out, it makes a little bit more sense as to, oh, I see. It's not as deep as what we saw in the trailer, but this is Giselle trying to produce a moment. She, at the very top of this episode, she says apparently Pepsi was drinking with them and they were having a good time. And she asked Pepsi, did you see where this bottle was? And according to Giselle, it took me a long time to get this bottle. But when you see the commentary from some of the other house ladies, the house ladies, housewives, they're like, it's not that hard to get this bottle. In my head, I'm thinking, is it a Vita tequila bottle? Is that, because we already know that's hard to get. But a lot of people, and you guys that drink will let me know, is it really hard to get a, Casa Azul bottle? Because I want to get one for the studio. I'm not going to drink whatever's in it, but I just want to put one in the studio. I'm just saying. Is it that hard to get a Casa Azul bottle? I haven't tried yet. You will let me know in the live chat or in the comment section. But the way that Giselle carries this throughout the entire episode was sort of like, okay, this is why no one likes you, Giselle. Yes, you have your moments where we can laugh and kiki, but these forced produced moments is what is taking away from you being a great housewife. In this moment, it felt as if she was like, you know what, I'm gonna run with this particular story. Nothing's really happening amongst this group, because a lot of you have been saying this season of Ultimate Girls Trip is not your favorite so far, even though it's only the fifth episode. So I'm wondering, is this her setting up the groundwork? You know what? We're gonna hold court. We're gonna find out who your suspect number one suspect. And it started to feel like, oh, now she's really just trying to have a moment. She's trying to make this a thing. And she's been accused of doing this before. And literally in this episode, Candace is like, you probably have this bottle and you're just trying to make a moment. And it kind of feels that way, because unlike some of these other housewives that are snipers from the side, like Elisa Vanderpump or whoever, they do it so slickly that you're like, oh, is this a thing, or was this a pre-produced moment? Giselle is just so obvious that it's sort of like, girl, really? And it's a bottle that's not even an expensive bottle, and it's not a it's not Vita tequila where it's hard to find. Sorry, Lisa Barlow. But it's true. It's hard to find a Vita tequila. So she asked Pepsi about it. Pepsi's like, I don't know. And then she was like, do you think one of the housewives has it? He was like, well, yeah, man. And so when Giselle brings that to Portia, she already has decided Portia is not the one who took it, because Portia's her friend. So Portia's not the one. And she's a Hennessy girl. All right, so Portia is not a suspect, but when Portia hears that Pepsi says, "I think it's one of the housewives," she's like, "Not Pepsi with T." Yeah, Pepsi with T. Anyways, so Giselle tells Portia that court is in session at lunch, and this is where it's like, here goes Giselle again with the forced stories and the forced pre-produced moments. Anyways, so Leah's upset. This is the other story. So this episode really is about, where is this tequila bottle and why wasn't I tagged in this photo? As you know, we saw this photo of the ladies in Thailand way before the show even aired. And apparently Portia posted it on her social media and tagged everyone but Candace and Leah. But as you've been watching with the episode, she doesn't see it for Leah or Candace because of all of the issues that they've been having. But Leah and Candace making this such a big deal, We know social media is a big deal in day and age amongst friends. Not tagging someone in a photo, I guess, could cause issues. That doesn't happen with me and my friends. I barely post my friends on social media like that. However, not tagging someone in unintentionally, intentionally, I do think it was intentional because she doesn't see it for Candace and Leah, especially after last week's episode. But for them to be so pressed about it to make it a story, it's sort of sad. It's like, oh, Candace, oh, Leah, it's that big of a deal. But she feels like this is just them being shady. This is them bullying them. Here's the thing. Later on in the episode, Candace says it's a form of bullying, not tagging someone. Cyberbullying, she said. So Candace, last season when we were talking about what Gizelle did, I got where you were coming from in regards to what you were accusing her of what she was doing with Chris. But now I'm reminded about all the other times that you sort of exaggerate with your words. And I'm like, I don't believe that was cyberbullying because someone doesn't see it for you and doesn't like you. And that's not the definition of cyberbullying, not being tagged in a photo. If she cuts you out of the photo, even if she cuts you out of the photo, I don't think that's cyberbullying. And we have to be very careful, and we saw this last week, to stop throwing these words around. I see some bloggers that have been saying that about other people. Oh, that's bullying. That y'all gotta be careful with the words that you're using. I try to be. Look, no one's perfect, but when you start throwing out words like cyberbullying or bullying, I'm like, is it really bullying here? Or because your feelings were hurt, you believe it was bullying? Okay. Okay, but we will get back to that. At one point, Candace refers to, and this is why Candace and I feel like Candace, Giselle, and Portia are carrying the show because we have these little shady moments and commentary from them. Candace refers to Portia as an imposter. I mean, look, and I'm not gonna say that she's wrong. We were just talking about Portia and her rewriting of history when it comes to her relationship with Simon Gobadia. So it's sort of like Portia, yeah, she can be she's a bit of an imposter. She gives you one thing. Oh, at one point, I'm sure I wrote this down when she was talking about, Pepsi was bringing the red cards with the money and things like that, and she's like, "Oh, Pepsi's our sugar daddy," and she's like, and she was mimicking what a sugar baby might say. And she was like, "Well, I'm not sure if that's what you say. Let me ask Portia." Okay. All right. Portia's refers to, okay, so there can't be a week where we don't talk about Marisol and her drinking. And I told you I don't believe Marisol has a drinking problem. Maybe I'm in denial, whatever. But Marisol makes them some drinks, and one of the drinks that she made, she gave to Portia, and Portia's just like, "Oh my god!" It's like, she's like, "Girl, no wonder your stomach is upset. You're drinking jet fuel." Again, another reason why we need these women. This is why we need this commentary. Alexia says it was during this trip, during the reasonably shady game. This is the first time she learned what shade is. What are you living in this little bubble? I thought you were part of the LGBTQIA plus community. You don't know what shade is? And this is why you're not a part of the community, Alexia. Um, and this is where Leah says, I'm okay with shade, but I just don't like passive aggressive shade. Shade is always passive aggressive sometimes. Well, not always, but a lot of times shade is passive aggressive. It's not. It sometimes it goes over people's heads. Just saying. But she doesn't like how Giselle and Portia are treating her and her newfound friendship with Candace. So they're commiserating with each other. All right. So Heather. So they go shopping. And I was just saying to myself, I'm like, are we really seeing Thailand with these ladies, or are we stuck in the house? Well, this episode we get out of the house and they're shopping, and this is where Leah gets really sick. I felt for Leah. I really felt for Leah. You don't want to get sick, be in a foreign place. She's about to pass out. She said she didn't feel her legs. I was like, I felt for her. And so this week, Leah, I'm not riding with you, but I'm not riding on you either. Okay. I I felt for her in this particular instance. All right. But Heather makes this comment about, oh, these are my two favorite things: capitalism and exploiting third world boutiques. she just says these things like, "Oh, that's okay. All right." She said a few things that I'm just sort of like, "Heather, you're just going out sad." So the ladies go shopping. Leah ends up getting really, really sick. But Leah, this is where we get the commentary about the women saying that she's got her period. She's got the runs, but she's not wearing panties because she passes out, and this is why your mother always tell you to wear good, clean underwear because you just never know. Well, she wasn't wearing any underwear yet. She has diarrhea and period. All right, all right. So Candace and Heather go shopping because weed, I guess, is now legal in Thailand. So they go, and Pepsi has submitted like, make sure you don't bring this on the plane, though, ladies. This is what you can have here. Has a an emergency blunt in their kitchen. This is what Candace says. I have an emergency blunt in the kitchen. I don't smoke all the time, but just in case. I can see where it benefits Candace because Candace can be a little high strung. I can see where it benefits her to be on this, but she's saying being on this trip, being with these ladies is a situation. I need the time. I need something that's going to relax me. So they go to check this out. Heather, Whitney, and Candace, and so they go shopping for that. So the ladies end up, first of all, the other ladies are happy that Candace is getting something because they're like, oh, she's a little much. Alexia and Marcel's like, she's very loud. She's very loud. Giselle then decides to use this lunch to hold court and to question the ladies. All right, so she questions the ladies, and basically she's holding Heather. She's saying Heather is a suspect. She's saying Candace is a suspect, and Marisol because Marisol likes to drink, and Marisol talked about, oh, I like the little ones, and I just don't see Marisol taking them again. If Marisol wanted a big one, couldn't she have a big one? Or maybe not, because she was talking about how cute the little ones are and how she reuses them. Maybe Marisol's the one who took it. I don't think anyone took it. But Candace was like, everyone else was like, you can go search my room. You can have them search our rooms right now while we're not even there. And Candace was like, nope, not me. Nope, not me. So this leads to a back and forth. This leads to a back and forth again with Portia and how she feels about Candace and Giselle saying to Portia, "I don't think you took it, girl." And it was so obvious. It's like you guys are a team versus everyone else. You guys are a team versus everyone else. Giselle, you're using this as a moment to create television. I'm assuming. I don't know. I don't know. And then during this conversation, this is when Candace brings up the fact that Portia did not tag Leah and her in the photo on IG. And it's sort of like high school. And they were like, oh, it's so high school that you didn't tag us. But I feel like reacting to it and making a big deal about it is even high school too. So I feel like both people are being high school, but at the same time, if you didn't tag me in a photo and we're filming the show, I'm like, whatever. I personally wouldn't make a big deal about it. I'm like, okay, when I tag my photo, I'm tagging everyone else but you. Call me petty, petty Betty. Just saying. But Giselle is on a mission. She gets back to the villa and she's just like, search all the rooms. I'm gonna come to your room, Candace, and search your room with your permission. I'm gonna go search your room. And Candace is like, no, you're not searching my room. Candace was already with Leah, letting Leah know, like, this is what's happening. This is what she's saying. So Giselle comes to the room. She doesn't think that Leah took the bottle because Leah left early that night. She's like, I'm not trying to say you guys are boring, but I'm just not feeling. I'm gonna go to bed early. So she doesn't believe that Leah took it. She really does believe that Candace now has become from suspect number two to suspect number one. And again, it's just giving very forced. This is in the trailer that we saw for Ultimate Girls Trip, where Candace says, you're accusing us of larceny. And Giselle's like, oh, you took it. You took it. Why are you making a big deal out of this? Why are you making a big deal out of this? I don't know. I have to say, I've been seeing a lot of people's mixed reaction to this season. And when I saw the trailer, I was excited for the season. When I saw the cast, I was like, okay, this could be interesting, especially with Giselle, Portia, and Candace. But as I'm watching it, it's sort of like, when are we going to have some fun? It seems like constant drama. I think the magic of season one for me was there was some unexpected drama, like with Cynthia, unexpected friendships, and we had fun. I feel like we had a good time during the trip. Even with Melissa and Teresa, like even their relationship seemed to work during season one. This is why I really enjoyed season one. And poor Pepsi by the end of this episode is broken. Like the ladies broke Pepsi. This poor man is broken. Poor Pepsi. Broken. They broke him into tears. But he'll be strong. Look, he'll be strong. I don't know. I probably would rate this episode because probably like a 6 or 7. I felt like it was okay. I don't feel like it was terrible because we did have some funny moments, some funny commentary. But we're in Thailand, and I feel like for being in Thailand, this should be far more entertaining. And the fact that we get episode 5 and it's all about finding where this tequila bottle is, I wonder will we get to the bottom of where the tequila bottle is? Do we even care? Is this I think I Google schmoogled it. It's not an expensive tequila, right? Or am I wrong? It's not an expensive tequila. I've seen it before. It's to me, it's not one of these prized items that you can't find. And according to the ladies, you can find it. They entitled this episode, where is it? Oh bottle, where art thou? Is it that deep? But I'm not surprised when we think about Gizelle. Gizelle much rather talk about where is my bottle than where is my life? What is going on with my life? We have not even unpacked anything with Giselle. Have we talked about, her husband? Have we her ex-husband and how he cheated on her? Have we talked about her other issues on the show? We have not talked about anything within Giselle's realm on this show. They started and she tried to really kind of move on from it. And that's recent stuff. There's so much stuff. We are 7 seasons in to Potomac, and we haven't unpacked. And she's an OG on Potomac. We haven't unpacked her history on the show. Part of me kind of wishes that now Giselle was there with a Karen, because Karen could have unpacked all of that with Giselle as two OGs. But I believe Karen was filming her own reality show, that little spinoff that they did at the time of this. I can't remember. But regardless, it's reminding me again. I know a lot of people like Giselle, but Giselle's going to get very boring, very quickly if she does not share more of herself. You cannot constantly be a protagonist in everyone else's story and storyline. She's been doing that from episode 1 of Ultimate Girls Trip. She's been doing it on the Real Housewives of Potomac. It's getting forced, fake, and phony, and we are getting tired of it. It's nice to see Portia. It's nice to get this little commentary from Portia. Do you guys miss Portia? Do you think what is going on in Portia's life though right now? I'm surprised we haven't talked more about her her wedding and planning her wedding and all that stuff. But it's only episode 5. Portia's still very much involved in everything else. She's carrying everyone else in this whole situation because Marisol and Alexia, I enjoy their side commentary and their side Spanglish. Heather and Whitney's relationship, again, we're sort of like no one understands. The audience doesn't understand, and none of these ladies understand. And they're so fake. At one point in this episode, she's like, I'm so devastated by Whitney. But you're back in the sprinter, like, hey, cousin. So everything that comes out of Heather's mouth, I'm kind of giving the side eye as not being truthful. You're saying I'm so devastated in your confessional, but you're laughing and kikiing. I have to say I appreciate Whitney because Whitney's just like you're laughing and kikiing at the table with them, but then when you're in the sprinter, you have all this mouth. You look at it, and Teresa the table or something, and we're seeing the cracks in Heather Gay. And I can appreciate no matter how you feel about Whitney and Whitney being like forcing things. I have to say, like Whitney, all of what Whitney is saying seems to be playing out as true. Who would have thunk it? Guys, I want to know how are you feeling about this season of Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Thailand season 3? How would you rate it from 1 to 10? Replay crew, I want to know your thoughts on the episode, things that stood out to you, things, your reaction to. Let me know about the Casa Azul bottle. Is it that a prize item? Am I going to have a hard time getting one for the studio? Do I even want one for the studio? It's going to go to waste. It's tequila. Sorry. I'll pour it out. I'll pour it out for the homies. Anyways, guys, as always, do not forget to like the video. Do not forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the content. Because even when I'm on a mini vacation, before the big vacation, stay tuned. Stay tuned. The big vacation. I'm still giving you content. Slowly but surely, you're still getting content. I hope you guys are having a fantastic holiday season. Happy Easter ahead of that. I will be doing recaps of Love and Barrett Huntsville. I will be recapping Escape and SWV's finale. Just don't know when I'll be posting them up, but I will be posting them and loving to hear what you guys have to say. As always, don't forget to like the video, don't forget to share the video, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video.
You bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire.